Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Marion's Thought for the Day. I've got a special guest with me, Sue, who is just wants to tell you what God has done for her in her life. So I might ask her a few questions, but listen to this amazing story of God's goodness in the life of this individual who I know through the band I play with. She plays trumpet, cornet, and flugelhorn now, isn't it? You're playing the flugelhorn
Yes.
now. So I know Sue from the band I play with, and she has an amazing story to tell. Sue.
Thank you, Marion. Well, my story begins probably about 25 years ago when I discovered that I met God in a situation where I was to play a solo in a church for a harvest festival as the congregation arrived in the church. It was quite a challenging solo, one that I hadn't played before. And the conductor said, "Are you ready to play?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." So I lifted my cornet and began to play. And within the first two notes, I knew that I was not playing this cornet myself, but a greater good, that God was coming through my cornet. I was the vehicle for God coming into the church to this lovely harvest festival service. So I held my cornet up, and this beautiful sound of High on a Hill, the solo was called High on a Hill, came through. And as people were coming into the church, they stood and they listened. And I believe that introduced me to God and what God can do. After that, I never played that solo again. I was never asked to play it again. Not because it was so bad, it was so impossibly good that no human being could have played it that way. And I was the vehicle for that beautiful
Wonderful.
sound coming through.
Wonderful.
Anyway, that was a long time ago. Then my spiritual beliefs became embedded, but I wasn't a churchgoer. I just thought there's more to life than we see, than we actually perceive. And then in December 2006, I had a very unpleasant experience of having a fall about 14 feet from my garden into what effectively is a monsoon drain, and I landed on my head. But prior to that, I felt Christ in my heart, and I saw Christ. And I looked, before I fell, I looked up and I could see Christ there in front of me. And I don't remember falling, but I remember waking up and feeling that I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm still alive. And how am I going to get out of here? Well, long story short is that I was found, the ambulance was called, I was taken away in the ambulance, and the hospital found that I had broken my neck in two places and my head had split open. So basically, I'd scalped myself and broken my neck in two places, which is why my face looks a bit lopsided and I can only look half surprised because all this side of my face is paralysed from here across to here, apart from my eye. During the course of the month after my accident, I began to lose my speech as the bruising in my brain was coming out. I lost the power of speech, which was a very scary time. And I prayed, and people prayed for me, and the strength of the prayer was tangible. I could feel it. I could feel that in my body. I could feel it in my head. And my head almost felt as though it was going to explode, but not like with a headache. It was just incredibly full of love and emotion. And then miraculously, I began to be able to form words again, because at that time I had thoughts in my head. I wanted to say the cat sat on the mat, but in fact nothing came out of my mouth apart from ah. So the cognitive processes were restored with people's prayer, my prayer, belief, the NHS experts, the therapists, to the point at which, okay, my vocabulary is not perhaps as wide as it was, but it's adequate. It's adequate. It'll do. About 2 years after this accident, I went back to playing my cornet because having a broken neck wasn't conducive to holding your hands up and playing an instrument. And I've been playing my cornet, trumpet, flugelhorn ever since, until a couple of years ago. Well, in fact, not even 2 years ago. It'll be 2 years at the end of October that I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer. I put it down to the fact that I work in a physical environment with plants, lifting things, of my age as well, that I had a few aches and pains in my tummy. But then things became apparent that that wasn't the case, and I went to the doctor, and the doctor fast-tracked me to have various tests which indicated that I had cancer, and a hysterectomy was booked for me within a couple of weeks of seeing the doctor. So I had a full hysterectomy, and before that, so many people came to me, loved me, prayed with me. I prayed, and again I felt that tangible warmth. It's a bit, I guess, it's almost like when you go out on a frosty morning and you have a brisk walk and you feel that warmth inside you. It's that same sort of feeling, that internal warmth, the Spirit of the Lord inside the body. So I went for the operation, and then the morning after the operation, the surgeon and the cancer nurse came to my bed in the hospital and said, sorry, we haven't been able to get it all out because it had spread from the womb into the abdomen. So I had stage 4 cancer. The surgeon was able to remove what she could see and what she could access, but there were tumours within my abdomen which were not accessible, which had to be removed by further treatment. And that further treatment was to have 6 cycles of chemotherapy, which was paclitaxel and carboplatin, within 5 weeks after my operation, after I recovered from the operation. So during that 5 weeks, my spiritual journey was very intense. It was absolutely incredible. I felt euphoric. I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. People said, "Oh, chemotherapy, that's awful." It is. Well, yes, it is awful, but I wasn't scared. And when I went for my first chemotherapy, as they put the catheter in to receive the saline solution, that's what you have first, and then you have intravenous antihistamine so that you don't react as much as you might do to the chemotherapy. When they put the chemotherapy in, I embraced it, and I said, this is from the Lord. This is going to do me good. This is for me. This is for my future. And with that, I was able to undertake the recommended 6 cycles of chemotherapy and went through many of the side effects that go with it. But I was very blessed because I didn't have many of the side effects that other people who I met in the centre where I received my treatment went through. I lost my hair. Every hair on my body. There was nothing left, absolutely nothing. And before chemo, I had really curly hair. And look at it now. It's dead straight. And so I've gone through that. I've been in remission since I finished my final chemotherapy, which was in April 2024. I'm now on hormone treatment for cancer, which is an estrogen blocker. Having tried a couple of other things, the first thing that I tried was progesterone balancer, because my cancer was caused by estrogen. So the progesterone was to balance the estrogen. Well, that didn't agree with me. And my oncologist said, let's try you on medication which is intended for people who suffer with breast cancer or have suffered with breast cancer. And that's working. So I'm in remission. I feel great. I'm playing in the band. Got my wonderful friend sitting here beside me. And
You played a complete concert last week.
yeah, I did,
For
didn't
the
I?
first time.
Yes.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, I did.
Absolutely wonderful. And it takes a lot of stamina to play a whole concert from 7:30. And it was a long concert with a 20-minute break, and we finished at 10. So to be playing all that time, I was so proud of you. It's just that you kept playing that flugelhorn. Wonderful concert. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Thank you, Marion.
Carry on.
Thank you. So, yes, as Marion said, I'm playing in the band, played a full concert. I go swimming. I can walk a little bit. I don't do countryside walking like I used to, but that will come in time. I'm sure that will come in time. But the spiritual enhancement that I've had over this journey of the 3 events that I've just mentioned to you are not without other events as well. I went to, I remember a time when I was receiving Holy Communion. And again, that warmth that I described, that bodily warmth, was generated by the Holy Spirit being within me. The Holy Spirit it's tangible for me. I feel it. It's I describe it to some people as like feeling like the Ready Brek Kid, where you glow from within.
Glow from the inside out.
But if anybody who's listening to this has any doubts about the power of prayer, please don't, because it is so powerful, from you as an individual and from other people around you supporting you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sue and I, we meet at band, and it was a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that we had the opportunity for me to pray for her again, for a symptom that's just been in the background. And it was then that Sue said to me, I want to give something back. And the thought occurred to me, you know what it's like, my dear friends, how often I say to you, I wake up in the morning and I have a thought to talk about in my thought for the day. The thought occurred to me, wouldn't it be lovely for Sue to share her story with all the people who subscribe and join with me daily for the thought for the day. It's very encouraging. The word says that our testimony is very powerful. And this is very powerful because nobody can take from Sue what she has experienced. When she says she met with God, when she played her cornet, that first Harvest Festival, and God has at different points in her life met with her, sometimes at the points of deepest need. I mean, I can't think of a more deeply needing moment than when you've come out of surgery and the surgeons have just told you you've got stage 4 cancer and that it's spread and they couldn't take it all. I mean, that you would think that would rob you of all hope. But no, her testimony is that she was filled with a warmth and a knowledge that God was with her. And I've seen her It's been wonderful. I've been at various events. I think about the funeral of a band member that we had, and Sue wasn't well enough because of the risk of infection to play with the band. Do you remember? But she could march down with the band through the village to the church ahead of the funeral cortege, and she was able to do that and be outside listening to the band playing for that funeral. And that was a moment when many members of the band felt the Lord's presence very deeply, very profoundly, as we played for a band member, and Sue was able to join with us despite the restrictions of your position.
That was the day after my first chemo.
That was your first chemo.
Day after.
And you couldn't mix with people, and you couldn't be close to people. And I think that part of it must have been very, very difficult when you couldn't mix with people. You had to always be behind a mask and be very careful.
Yes.
Was that very difficult?
It was difficult, but I knew I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I was supported by the strength that the Lord gave me.
That's right. That's lovely. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to Sue. My prayer actually is that Sue will be the first of perhaps many people who will tell you their story, just like you take opportunities to tell others your story, because your story of how God has met with you and what he's done for you is perhaps the most powerful thing you can ever say to somebody, because they can't say you were mistaken or you were deluded, because you know the reality of it, because it's your own story. And I'm thinking about the verse in Acts chapter 1 where Jesus said to his disciples, "You will receive power," and that was the Holy Spirit, which Sue has received and I've received and you have received, I hope. If you haven't, ask for the Holy Spirit, because God will give him to you. But he said, "You will receive power and you will be my witnesses," and go to Jerusalem and around the world. And all a witness does is tell what they've seen or heard. They don't tell someone else's story. They tell what they have seen and heard. And that's what Sue has done today. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Marion.
It's been a great privilege to listen to your story in full. Thank you for coming. And we both together wish you God's blessing and God's presence. Whatever difficulty you're facing, be encouraged. Sue has faced great difficulties, and God has been more present with her in the difficulties than he has in the ordinary everyday events of life, almost, although he's with her, of course, all the time. So whatever you're going through, cry out to the Lord, and the Lord will help you. And if you know anyone who can pray for you, ask. And of course, there's the comments on my thought for the day. You can put up a comment, and many people in the community that listen to me every day will pray for you and uphold you in our prayers. So God bless you.
God bless you.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.